Everybody, welcome back to It's Metal Thing. Today, I finish up the manifolds and get the turbos mounted. Do it. Manifolds done. So I was going to weld on the inside of these tubes, but I was afraid that it would warp because it wasn't, I can't bolt it to that piece of tubing. And I did this one a little bit more than the rest of them, and it started pulling around. I had to go down and put it in the press, but I got it straightened out, so it's nice and flat. Both of them are flat. They're good. I did do a little bit of strip welds inside here just to give a little more strength. As far as the sealing, I think it's fine. I squared these up. Once they were all welded together, I went down to the press and straightened these up because I'm going to go basically from a square to this rectangle shape here. A lot easier than transitioning from a circle. I got this all welded up in here. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy overall for my first set. The welds got a little better on the second one than the first one, but overall I'm happy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on, get it bolted up, take the turbo and put it where I think it needs to go, and figure out a way. I think I just unbolt this and I can leave the T4 flange bolted or welded to this thing. And I can just make a cardboard template to transition from the square to the rectangle on here. But I just got to figure out exactly where I want it. But it should be no big deal. So yeah, bolt the manifolds on, make a cardboard template for the transition, and get those things mounted. Okay, something like that. So I'm going to have to make a transition there. I think it's going to be okay here. I don't want it too high. I don't want it too close to the fender. I want to try to run AC lines in here. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might box them in maybe, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out what's going on with the hinge too. I think it'll be all right if I run the AC through here. I'll have to figure that out. But I kind of like the where this is at. I think it's a good spot. It'll give me room to, I'll have to come out immediately and kick down. I'm going to run a pipe out here. So I'm going to come off of here. And then two, figuring out the wastegate, where it's going to go. I'm supposed to have a wastegate at 90, but I'm going to have something that's close to 90. I don't really have a lot of room for it. So I'm going to figure that out too. But first things first, get the turbo off of here, get the flange all squared up and happy, and then start making that transition. My flange and my piece of stainless that I cut had some 1/8 inch, made a template, cut this out. So I have this piece, it's exactly the opening of the hole here, right? So, I mean, maybe a little bit proud, but not a whole lot. The problem I have now is when I line it up with this inside of this flange, there's no way I'm getting a bolt in there. And it's not happening. I got to figure out some way to round this edge to mimic this and give me enough room for a nut or a bolt on here. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some 3/16 round, solid, solid round, just a piece of bar or, thin stock. I'm going to bend it to this radius here, lay it right on this line, and then I'm going to weld it solid on here. I'm going to try to either heat and beat or press this in there to get it to radius over some. I'm going to try it. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but that's something I can think of. I don't know how else to get a radius in here. Then the other problem is going to be is the radius in this side. So I might try to get as much radius. I don't know. I'm going to try it and see if I can even get it to even think about happening. And then if I can, then I'll work out the other details. First things first, try to make a little jig or press, something I can get these edges to roll over. Give it a shot. All right, so I need to put some curve in this thing. I went and bought some 3/16 rod. First I drew a line on here. I took the 3/16 rod, I made it so it was inside the line on both of these, tacked these on, made these relief cuts. There's no way you'll be able to shrink that, this 1/8 inch on this curve. So I'm gonna, I don't know, go down there and put it in the press and see what I get. Hopefully I can get a little bit of a curve out of it and make it fit this flange a little better. So I'm gonna try that now. Looks like it's gonna work. So I can make that happen, man. Then over here, the header part, Lines up good too. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, going with that. Going to get this cleaned up, weld it up, get it to where it's flat. You know, it's not super straight because just the way it's bent. I had to bend these over a little more in the vise to get it to come around. So, but I'll flatten this line out, weld it up, flatten it out. Then I'll tack it together. I'll go ahead and tack the flange on here, make sure it's all square and straight, and then make a template for the other side. It looks like it's off a little bit. I can't really tell. Looks like this, just might be optical illusion, the way things are lined up, but I won't know. So once I get that flange on here, then I can sight down, and then you line up this with the line on the T4, or even that there, you can line it up and see that it's not like far off. So I just want to make sure that the turbo sitting in there straight and right. And I can do that when I just tack in this one side and get that T4 on there. Then I can manipulate it and get it around. Then I can make a template for that side and move on to the next one. I welded it up. It's ugly. I could make it work. It bowed a little bit, but no big deal. I could straighten that out. I can make this work. But I thought, I wonder what would happen if I went ahead and just didn't cut it. So I got this to go. It is a little crinkly on the edge. There's nothing you can really do about that. It's just a material needing to shrink. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one on this side. Then I'm going to tack this onto here, tack it onto the header, and then I'll make a template for the other side. But I think on the next one, I'll go ahead and put maybe like 3 slices or 4 slices in here, just not getting all crazy like that. That's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm going to tack this up, tack it on, make a template. Tacked on, looking good. Got it squared up. The engine leans back. The engine has a 2.5 degree angle on it. I wanted this to lean back a little bit. I don't want it level. It'd be weird looking from the side. I came back about 2 degrees. I don't want to get too crazy on it. It seems like it's sticking out a little farther than I wanted, but I got to trust the process right now. I'm going to go ahead and make this other side over here. So I got it squared up. I took a square in here, squared off of this surface, about a 1/4 inch gap from this edge. So I can kind of see where I'm at. So ended up about 1/4 inch there, and then the same over here. So I'm happy with where it is. I thought I was gonna have to make another template, but this thing fits exact. It's clean living, man. So perfect. I'm surprised, honestly. I thought they're gonna be a little bit different. So now I'm gonna cut another one of these out like I did, oversized. I have to flip these around because they're going the wrong way. So get these off here, grind this flat, mark it on here again, put these back on, press the other one. I'm gonna make some cuts in this one though, to try to get rid of some of that wrinkling that's going on. The other side over there is almost gonna be like a 90 because the turbo obviously is backwards. So in order for the turbo to be where it needs to be, anyway, get that done. That one turned out pretty good. Process. I took my time. I just slowly worked back and forth with the press. So there was no big movements. That's where all the kinking came from. So probably a combination of me going slower and these cuts maybe made it pretty smooth, but I'm happy with that. So it gives me hope for the other side over there when I do the 90s. So I'm gonna tack this on here. I'm gonna hang the turbo on here and maybe throw the fender on and see what it looks like. So I'm gonna do that next. I could have leaned it back some more, but I didn't. You can't really tell. I mean, if it was in the engine compartment and it was part of the situation in there where everything wanted to be in the same kind of plane, it'd be that way. But from the side view, it looks square, kind of square with the world, so it's good. There's a pretty even gap all the way around. So the fender's like over here, this gap and this gap on both sides is about the same. It's down a little farther than the top, which will give me plenty of airflow around it. It won't get too hot. I don't think anything will get too hot. This is going to be a little tight. I'm going to probably get some weld, like 45s or whatever, just enough to, you get a weld 90, all those little pieces, and you can make it whatever angle it ends up being. It's going to be pretty tight through here. It's going to come down. I'm actually going to run Vibrant makes a 4-inch resonator. It looks cool, and it'll help with the sound. I'm probably going to run down there. And then I got to figure out the wastegate. But so yeah, I'm happy. It'll be all right. The cold side, plenty of room for air cleaner, plenty of room for exhaust, plenty of room for tires. I think overall it's just the best situation. So pop this off, fill that in, get it done, and then work on the other side. got it out. So yeah, I'm just gonna roll a piece, bend it over a piece of tube. I have a roll, but I don't want to drag it out for just this, so I'll probably just bend it over a piece of tube. And then, yeah, do both sides. Fit it in there, get it all nice and fit, and weld that thing up. Weld it up. I welded the inside of the flange. I welded the inside of the tube a little bit to give a little extra strength as I smoothed out the weld. It should be plenty strong. So now I just need to fit it on here. So I'm going to just tap things around a little bit, get it lined up, put a good V in it, and then weld it on. Passenger side turbo set. It was leaning down a little bit. I just tacked that transition on, put the turbo on. It was leaning down a little bit. I had to fudge it around. I wouldn't put it in the press and kind of parallelogram that the backside of that tube, so it gave me a little bit of twist. And also too, it was kind of pointing more toward the passenger side. It wasn't straight with the car, so straightened all that up. Happy with the way that is now. Got the other turbo oil over there. So I've got this piece of angle iron on here, running across here. I took a square. I squared down, got the height. It ended up being 9 inches. I squared off here and went to the center of the oiling hole. It's 2 inches over from here. So I went over here and basically did the same thing. Got the height where it belongs. Got the distance from the fender. I mean, it's close enough to work. You know, there's obviously going to be some difference in these measurements, but it's not super critical. The only thing that was a little off, a lot off, is this exhaust on this side is 1 inch farther back than that side, which is, you know, unfortunate. Like I said, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning as I go. I'm not going to make a new manifold, so it's just going to be what it's going to be. No one's ever going to notice, and if they do, so what? Don't tell anyone. All right, it's between you and me. So this is all squared up. I'm happy with what it is. This one here, like I said, the scrolls go in the opposite direction, so it's going to be a tighter bend down here. So I'm going to make a template, get going on that, and get it tacked in and see kind of where I'm at. Hopefully it's not too crazy of a angle, because I want to keep this centered in here just for heat and air and everything that's involved. So yeah, template next and start building the 90 for that. Turbos are on, went pretty good. The only issue I had was that made that radius a little tight there. I wasn't able to get a bolt in that's long enough. 1.5 inches is what I need. 1.25 inches goes in, 1.5 inches doesn't. So I got a piece of high strength all thread. The guy at the hardware store, not the hardware, he's a bolt place. He had some high quality all thread that he can handle the heat. He understood what I was doing. I took this manifold in to see if a Allen cap would fit, but it wasn't going to go in there either. So I'm running that with 2 lock nuts, top and bottom. But yeah, so exhaust next. I'm ready for exhaust. I'm going to get those on there and figure out angles and see where I'm at. So I'm going to do that next. All right, so I got some exhaust stuff. I've got these V-bands off of eBay. I don't know what size that turbo is. I don't know what size the V-bands are supposed to be, so I bought V-bands for a GT45. The weird thing is they have this weird taper in here. I don't know what that's about. The tubing doesn't really fit right because the tubing is smaller than this outside diameter here, so there's a weird gap all the way around, and there's no way to really register it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down, turn this back, so I get a flat surface for this to sit on, and then I'm going to just machine a little 3/16 steep step in here, so this will fit in there nice with no gap and be able to register. I got these 4-inch race mufflers from Vibrant. I also bought some pie cuts for the 90s. I bought 2 of them for $2.90. I won't need 90. I don't know what this angle is. I'll have to figure it out. So I'm just going to come out here, do a couple pieces, 2 or 3 of those pieces, and then head down that way. So like that. My buddy came down and turned these for me. He's got a lathe down there that I can run. It's a 48 by 12. Used to belong to my father-in-law. So I'm okay running that one, but he has got some weird jig in there, some weird setup. So he came down and turned these on his big lathe that I'm afraid of. I'll use it, but it's scary. So yeah, just put this little groove in there, machine this surface here, lay that, so it fits right in there, nice. It's good, happy. Nice gap, tight fit, registered up. So now I'm just gonna work on the exhaust. I'm gonna get the exhaust down tube basically with this muffler on there, have it end. I need to get some O2 bungs and figure out wastegates, but for now, just get an exhaust hub. All right, so I took an angle finder and this floor is right at 40 degrees. So it means I need a 55-degree angle here, bend here. The problem is, not really a problem, no big deal. So I have these vibrant pie cuts. There's 6 of them for 90, they're 15 degrees each. So if I do 4 of them, it's going to end up being 60 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld 4 of them together, and then I'll remove some material. I'll chuck it up, put it up on the belt sander. So I'll put it on the belt sander when it's all welded together, but I'll leave a little bit of a gap at the top. I'll just work my way in so that I get, another 5 degrees off of there so I can get that to where it needs to be. So I'm going to do that next. All right, first pie cut elbow. Ended up going with 4 pieces, 60 degrees. Looks like it's going to line up. I'm going to tack this on here and just kind of hold it up there and see kind of where I'm at, see if it works out. First time, the welds, they're all right. I'm not hating it. Could be better. I'm trying something new. Normally I have the amps up high on the welder and I do it all by foot, right? I mash it and kind of back off, and that's how I've always done it. So I'm trying something different this time, trying to get a more consistent weld. I don't do a lot of TIG, so I'm trying to get, it's all about the roll bar. Luckily, I'm doing all this stuff to get a little time under my belt. Primarily all the TIG I was doing was aluminum. I'm pretty good at that, but this stuff I don't do much of. So what I ended up doing is I started out on like at 40 amps and worked my way up. 60 seems like it's a good number. The problem is, you mash the gas, it's full 60, you don't get any more. So the first few dabs, you have to take your time, otherwise they're bigger and more rounded. And then as you go, you need to speed up, at least after the first initial 3 or 4 dabs. So that's kind of tricky, I don't know. I might practice some more, but I'm not sad. This is plenty good. It'll only get better with time and effort and just practice. So hopefully by the time I get that roll bar going, I'll be pretty proficient. So yeah, I'm going to tack this together, figure out the angle. I'm going to have to add, I was originally thinking I was going to have to run a piece and then just cut it short. But I think I might just have to do 90 right out. I don't want it too close to the floorboard, obviously. So we'll see. It's going to be, I don't know. We'll find out. Let's do that next. Close. Got this tacked together, tacked on the V-band. I took some material off the top, took a little out of the angle here, and took a small amount out of here. I took like 3/16 out of here. Took about a 1/16 of an inch, or not quite an 1/8. So I got room to bring this up a little bit more. It's not quite parallel with the floor. Could come up just a little bit. I'd probably just be a little anal. No one's ever going to notice, but I'll know. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these tacks. I'm just take a little more out of here, and then I'll call it good. It'll be close enough. And then next, determine where the muffler's going to go. All right, going to go with that. It's not quite parallel with the floor, but the more I bring it up to try to get it parallel, the closer it's getting. I don't have any room to move this forward. I'm limited on that. I'm afraid if I come up too much more, we're going to get too close. I don't need a hot floor. So it gives me plenty of tire clearance when it goes through its suspension travel. It's going to move forward anyway because of the shackle in the front. So I'm going to put this muffler somewhere in here, probably about halfway between the bottom and the top. I am going to run a tailpipe. I ordered 2 4-inch V-bands. So it's going to be almost like a side pipe situation, not all the way out here, not sticking out here, but up underneath, closer to the frame, and run down and then just kick it out in front of the tire. So I'm going to place the muffler, put a line, cut it off, and then go ahead and tack everything all together. And then this side will be pretty much done until I continue on, and then I'm going to go work on the other side, get that outside done. So that's next. All right, so the muffler is a little bigger diameter. It's kind of sloppy on here, and just to make sure this stays straight. So to get a straight line around a cylinder, you take a straight piece of paper that's got the factory edges on it, and if you wrap it around and it's tight and the edges line up, then it's square. So it's square to the tube. So that's a good way to be able to square up something that's on a round tube. Just make sure it's factory edge and everything's square, and you line up those edges and it's money. So now I'm gonna tack that on. Pretty cool. I'm happy with that. That thing looks tough, man. So now the other side, the floor is steeper. So when I weld those 4 pie pieces together, it should be closer to the angle. If not, not enough, hopefully it'll work. Also too, I'm farther back here and this floor sticks out farther. So all I can do is throw it on here and see what it looks like. So I'm gonna start welding those pie pieces together. Start welding those pie pieces together, and then I had to open up the V-band a little bit. My buddy had a nice tight fit on there, but that, once you weld it, everything moves around, didn't want to go on. So I'll get that in there, mount it up, and we'll see where we're at. All right, turbos are on. I'm happy. I think they turned out good. They look good, pretty cool. With the fenders on there, it's a pretty cool look. I'm really happy. So in this video here, on the next one, I'm going to do wastegates and side pipes. I guess I'm going to call them side pipes, even though they're not. So if you like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll check you on the next one.